What is going on, people inside that internet machine? Listen, I don't normally make videos about the Amico, but there's some stuff coming out about the Amico, and I need those Amico views. So let's talk about the Amico, or lack of Amico. Amico! So as you can see, we've cleared out, put some games up to make it game roomy. But listen, like I said, I don't make videos about the Amico. Full disclosure, I don't invest in Intellivision. I did pre-order the wood grain. I did get the 8-pack of physical games that they offered. And, I'm kind of into the Amico. I kind of like the idea of the Amico. My 3 kids and I, we all game, but we play different games. Between us, we've got like all the retro consoles a man could ever want. 4 PS4s, 2 Switches, so there's an abundance of games in my house. The idea that we can all get together and kind of play simple games. My daughter likes board games, so, she's gonna like those games. But, listen, as a dad and a parent, if you can get a half hour a week, that's 24 hours a year more with your kids. So for me, it's worth it. I like the idea of it and whatnot, but we got some things that we got to talk about. This project is in a lot of trouble financially, and we're going to talk about some things that have gone on in the last week or so. I'll leave links down below to where I got all my information, because that's like transparency. You know what I'm saying? So let's just jump into it. I'm watching Retro Bros a live stream, and he had Phil Adams on. And they were talking about Tommy switching positions from the CEO to the CCO, LMNOP, Mob Deep. I don't know, right? But Tommy's still, the founder, president, director, majority stockholder, chief executive officer, or chief creative officer, I'm sorry. And it's like, these guys spend all day sitting around a table deciding what their titles are going to be. It's crazy. Okay? Okay, so here it is, right? It's starting to get frustrating when these Amico talking heads, when they get on these live streams, and all they want to do is recite their credentials. I have this many years experience. I worked on that game. I've worked with this person for so many years. And it's just annoying. Instead of actually talking about the product that you need to release, and they need to answer these tough questions. They need to be on a live stream where somebody's not going to kiss their ass. And ask them, how many games are completed? Give me a list of the games. Is the UI done? When is our projected shipping date? It gets crazy. So Phil Adams was on there. He's the new CEO. And he said that 20 or 30 titles are getting their attention with a staff of 50 people. And I'm thinking like, well, if we've been doing this since 2018, that's, 3.5 years or so. Why aren't any of these done? Is there an excuse why, 5 to 12 of these games aren't done? I don't know. Like, somebody needs to ask him that. And he says, right around 20 games are completed. Well, give me a number. Like I said, is it 5? Is it 6? Right around 20? Is 15 like 20? Like why can't they give us a straight answer? They should be posting every day. Moon Patrol is done. Astro Smash is done. Farkle, hot seller there. Farkle is done. That way people sort of know what they're getting into, what games they're going to be able to play day one, when the Amico comes out. And, I'm watching the live stream and, Adams is on there. And at the 27-minute mark, okay, Smash JT, who is an investor, this is somebody that's bought into your company, that has invested money, okay, asks, what is the game release schedule after launch going to be? And, the CEO of the company says this.
Okay, so quick question about the games. How many games in total are coming out, and what is the release schedule after launch? Is it going to be like 2 games per week, or 1 game every 2 weeks, or what are you looking at for that?
Well, gosh, that happens to be a job for Tommy Tallarico, our chief creative officer. And I think you know his number, so why don't you just pick up the phone and give him a call?
We all do.
I'm
Man.
sorry, that's just not my department.
Wow.
Yeah, absolute crazy town. Now, you can tell by his body posture that he's kind of joking, but well, gosh, that happens to be a job for Tommy Tallarico, our chief creative officer, and I think you know his number. Why don't you pick up the phone and give him a call? I'm sorry, that's just not my department. That's even when joking, right? We're joking now. That's what you want the leader of your company to say when we're getting down to crunch time. Got jokes. You know what I mean? And if he's being serious, in some capacity, that's not good either. That's not a good look for the company. The more appropriate answer would have been, Smash, we're going to do a release at the end of the month. We'll make sure we add that in there and we'll get that information out to you. Sorry, I can't answer it right now. No. Oh, Tom, you pick up the phone and call him. Gosh, golly gee. Come on, bro. That's just annoying. Yeah. With the physical media claim, like after the piss poor E3, the claims about release dates, delaying the release dates, the physical media, if you want to get into that, and it was ridiculous. Money problems, supply chain problems, all this stuff that they're talking about. And his answer to every obstacle, every barrier, every point of opposition, every question that, people that are serious in the gaming industry are asking him, his response, like most of the time, is, that's just business. That's just business, guys. It's just business. As if we're retarded and we don't understand business. So the thing that he gave was retail margins, right? Now, I printed out this little article, I highlighted some stuff, but we're going to get rid of that. You know why? Because retail margins is basic economics and business 101. Walmart doesn't buy a Nintendo Switch from Nintendo for $300 and sell it for $300. There's no money in it for Walmart. They buy it out at a lower cost. They find out what their margin's going to be. Then they produce a $300 MSRP. And that way Walmart and the distributors and everybody else in the supply chain gets their little piece of the pie. Now, what is that piece of the pie for Walmart or Best Buy or GameStop on the Amico? I don't know. They haven't released it. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the offering details from this fundraising that they need to do, this third or fourth fundraiser that they've had. Now, you remember like the last year and a half, it's been, we can't get chips, we can't get screens, we can't get stuff from China. It was always a supply chain or parts issue. Well, now it's coming to light that they have some financial issues that go right along with that. I'm sure they can't get their parts from China because if they would have been able to get them, they would have gotten them. But they have some serious financial issues. So is it a supply chain and parts issue, or is it you're running out of funding and you don't have any funding issue? So, I put that in there. I thought that was interesting in the notes. And then I have in here, is this console dead in the water? So I found an article from Techraptor. Is this from Techraptor or the other one? Yeah, this is from Techraptor. Intellivision Amico future in doubt as creators admit massive debt. So I'll read this really quick, and you guys can make your own decision, okay? You can see the new fundraising campaign over at Start Engine, which, by the way, is not a great company if you look at their Better Business Bureau rating, right? There, Intellivision is asking for $5 million to further its ill-fated console. But if you scroll down, you'll find the SEC listing with some pretty damning information on it. The listing states that Intellivision hasn't generated any revenue since its inception back in 2018, and that the company is in long-term debt to the tune of around $7.2 million, with further short-term debt obligation of about $1.2 million. So their short-term and long-term debt is already at $8.4 million. Okay. The company is also in financial hot water relating to an inability to recover $1.35 million paid to Chinese manufacturing company Arc Electronics. According to the SEC, filing a contract dispute means Intellivision may never see that money again, nor can it recover the components that Arc Electronics had already bought on its behalf. When combined with the $800,000 worth of debt owed to Subdesh Agarwal, who is listed as an angel investor. He's also a director at Intellivision, so he's on the payroll, and he does have stock options. We'll talk about that in a minute. And interest on other debts Intellivision is incurring. It's not looking good for the gaming company. If Intellivision doesn't raise the $5 million it's asking for from its Start Engine campaign, it's in trouble. And even if it does, this wouldn't be enough to keep the company operating beyond approximately 7 to 9 months. In fact, in its risk assessment, meaning Intellivision's own risk assessment, Intellivision acknowledges that there may never be an actual Intellivision Amico console if the company decides an Amico launch would not be in the best interest of the company and its shareholders. Then the console may never come to fruition. The Amico has already been delayed numerous times since its original announcement, so this wouldn't come as particularly welcome news for all those hoping to see the console to be delivered in a timely fashion. Again, you can read the rest of that article down below, but here's a debt breakdown. $8.4 million in short and long-term debt, $1.35 million that they may not be able to recover from Arc Electronics, the Chinese manufacturer, $800,000 that's owed back to the director there, Sadesh, again, sorry, plus any of the interest, whatever those interest rates are. So we're rolling with $10,550,000 in debt plus the interest. So they're about $10.5 million in debt already, plus the interest, right? As I scrolled through the investment pitch on Start Engine, I noticed that, again, they post all this stuff about the Amico and why you should invest in it and how to invest and what the shares cost, and we'll get into that in a second. But I saw this address and I'm like, well, hey, what if I want to fly out to the corporate office and hand deliver my Amico check, right? Doesn't work that way, but let's just pretend. Stay in CM Fantasy World for just a minute. So I looked up that address, just copy and pasted what they had into Google Maps. It comes back to a house in Salt Lake City. Not like a corporate office that we would think of. Like it's someone's house. And not just someone's house, it's John Stabler's house. You can look that up on saltlakecountyauditor.org and just pop in the address into the property search. Mr. Stabler is also the vice president of finance at Intellivision. So send all of your information to the finance guy's house. You know, it's just not a good look. It's a great house though. It's estimated at $687,000, rents $2,400 a month. You can find all this stuff out. It's all public information. Okay, so again, going back to the investor thing that they sent out, the email thing that they sent with the Start Engine stuff on it. I took some notes from the offering details. So if you go to that section again, links down below, you can check that out. So listed in the offering details is basically it's like an SEC declaration that this is the company. These are the stocks. These are sort of the rules of engagement when it comes to the stocks. The history of Amico. It's got all like Tommy and John Alvarado. It's got like everybody's salary and how many stock options they own, along with their titles. So there's just a lot of information in there. It's more of sort of like a legal document. It looks like a contract, if you're familiar with like collective bargaining contracts, stuff like that. It kind of looks like that. So yeah, information about the company, sort of vision, mission, where they at, where they're coming from, stocks, financials, salaries, etc. Now, before we get into page 2 and 3, which is the revenue sharing agreement, I just want to hit some sections that I thought were kind of interesting. They do have like all the licenses, right? And it was weird because they've got licenses for like Bump and Jump and like R-Type. I don't know what that means. Like, do they own a name? Do they own an image? Who knows? But just so we're all on the same page here, this thing mentions common stock, and a lot of people don't really know what that is. So I'm going to give you the textbook definition. Common stock are shares entitling their holder to dividends that vary in amount and may even be missed depending on the fortunes of the company. So, hey, you buy a common stock, you're entitled to some dividends. If they say you get dividends, right? Like, it's not like a guarantee or anything like that. So sections of note, page 16, investment could be illiquid for a long time. Now, what does that mean? That means that when you buy it, you have to hold it for a certain amount of time. You can't sell it. You can't trade it. You know, you really can't do anything with it. So it's restrictions that you can't sell. If the company is bought out or there is no market for these stocks, again, this isn't like a publicly traded thing as far as I know yet. So these stocks are essentially sort of worthless until there's a market, right, that's created where people want Amico stock. So if you believe that in the future somebody will want Intellivision stock, then maybe buy it, because you are getting a nice bonus here. If you spend $500 within like the first 72 hours, you get a 15% stock bump, so you get 15% more stock, the common stock. But minority holders, what does your stock get you, right? Voting rights. The CEO is their proxy vote. Liquidation is only paid if there is any cash remaining in the company. So after they make all this profit and the shareholders get theirs, if there's anything left, hey buddy, you can have it, which is interesting. And not out of bounds by any means for what other companies do with stocks or how, but the fact that they're in the $10.5 million of debt already plus interest. I mean, page 20, the company is vulnerable to hackers and cyber attacks. That's more of a legal thing, but I just thought it was funny that it was in there. And the last thing here, again, this is more of a contract thing on page 20. Insurance may not adequately protect against losses. And it's interesting that they mention in there, again, this is a legal thing that they probably have to put in there, but it mentions like terrorist attacks, right? Like it's an unforeseen event that, you can't control. So if Al-Qaeda were to go to old Stabler's house here, and jihad it, sorry guys, your ass out. So anyway, the most interesting part of this entire offering details to me was on page 2, going into page 3, the revenue sharing agreement. So I'm going to read it. We're going to talk about it. Okay, we are party to a revenue sharing agreement with FIG Publishing Inc., pursuant to which FIG agreed to provide us with up to $15 million in capital and provide various marketing, sales, and distribution services in exchange for our payment to FIG of a percentage of the revenue generated through the sales of Intellivision, Amico, and certain games, until such time as FIG has received a return equal to 3 times the funds advanced to us. Let's see, 15 million times $45 million if they get the full amount or they take the full amount. Okay. FIG is entitled to receive 5% of revenue less certain expenses generated from the sale of the Amico through a third-party sales channel or distributor such as Amazon, Walmart, or GameStop. Indirect system revenue. So they sell a console for $250 at Best Buy. FIG gets 15%. Okay? 5%. 15% revenue generated from direct sales of Intellivision Amico through other channels, or direct system revenue. So you buy an Amico from Intellivision, FIG is going to get 15% of that. If they get it at the big box store, it's 5%. Just want to make sure I corrected that. And 25% of all revenue derived from game sales, which is called game revenue in here. Okay? So when we talk about how can they raise the price of this console from $249.99 to $349, which is also listed in this offering details, it's because they got to pay FIG back. And they're not taking it out of their profits. They're making you pay more so you can pay back their loan. See where I'm going with this? In addition to that, okay, during the 12-month period commencing after FIG has received an amount equal to 3 times the capital it has provided us, FIG is entitled to 10% of direct sales, 20% of game revenue. So once they pay that 15 million times 3 back, the next year after that, FIG is still getting 10% of the direct sales, 20% of the game revenue, and then the year after that, the second year, okay, we're into the second year, they get 5% of the direct system revenue and 15% of the game revenue. So let's pretend that Amico is able to pay this off, or Intellivision's able to pay this off in like 4 years. But they're still on the hook to FIG for another 2 years after that, paying a different percentage amount. Honestly, I think FIG is going to say, listen, we'll give you this $15 million, but if this thing goes bust and we only recover $25 million, they're still making $10 million. So I think there's a couple ways to look at this. There's a company out there, FIG, that is willing to give Amico up to $15 million. That can be seen as a good thing if that's how you want to spin it. The fact that they need this money is a little bit more bizarre. I don't know, maybe lower the prices of t-shirts from $35 to $23, which is a little bit more reasonable. Sell more t-shirts, I don't know. I think the whole thing is absolutely insane. But if you have $500, and you want to invest in this particular Amico thing, then I say go for it. Do with your money what you want to do. But God, I mean, just on face value, right? They're $10.5 million in debt, and if they get $15 million, now they're already $25.5 million in debt, and we don't have a console yet. In fact, the UI on the console isn't finished, but they're telling us that the games are done. Well, how do we know when the UI is finished that those games will act properly with the UI? Do we have to go back and change the UI? Or do we have to go back and change the game? Who knows? I don't know how all this tech and spec stuff works. Are you still optimistic about the Amico? That's okay. That's okay. You can be optimistic. You think this console's dead in the water? Leave a comment down below. Jim Adams, whatever his name is, he said we will be getting an update at the end of February, which by my calculations is a couple weeks away.
I'm sorry, that's just not my department.
Wow.
Last thing, if you are interested in an Amico, you might want to grab one now before the price goes up to $350. At that point, you probably won't want one anyway. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share on social media. Don't forget to bang that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all of your CM retro gaming goodness. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you on the next one. Amico!